The world is witnessing a dramatic transformation as nations across every continent embark on a new era of rearmament. This is not just a return to old patterns, but a significant escalation, with countries investing heavily in their armed forces and military technology. The scale and speed of this buildup are unlike anything seen in recent memory. An unprecedented surge in military spending is reshaping the global landscape. Governments are allocating record-breaking budgets to defense, funneling resources into advanced weaponry, cyber capabilities, and modernization of their forces. In 2023 and 2024, global military expenditures soared to historic highs, surpassing levels not seen since the height of the Cold War. This surge is not limited to a handful of countries. Nations both large and small are increasing their defense budgets, responding to a rapidly changing security environment. The driving forces behind this escalation are complex. Rising geopolitical tensions, regional conflicts, and deep uncertainty about the future are fueling a sense of urgency. From the intensifying rivalry between the United States and China in the Pacific to renewed conflict and instability in Europe, particularly following the war in Ukraine, the world is on edge. Nations are responding by strengthening their military capabilities, determined not to be caught unprepared. Across the globe, military exercises are growing in scale and frequency. New tanks roll off assembly lines, warships patrol contested waters, and leaders review their troops with a renewed sense of purpose. The message is clear. Military strength is now a top priority. The numbers are staggering. The 2024 figures reveal a 9.4% increase in global military spending, the highest annual jump since the late Cold War era. This rapid escalation is raising alarms among analysts and policymakers alike. Experts warn that this trend could have far-reaching consequences for global security. As nations compete to outspend and outmaneuver each other, the risk of misunderstandings and unintended escalation grows. As countries pour ever more resources into their militaries, the potential for miscalculation and conflict increases. The world stands at a crossroads, facing the possibility of a more unstable and unpredictable future. Amidst this global surge in military activity and rising defense budgets, one nation continues to stand out above the rest. The United States remains the undisputed leader in military spending, maintaining a position it has held for decades. Its defense budget is not only the largest in the world, but it also dwarfs the combined military expenditures of several other major powers. In 2024, the U.S. allocated nearly $1 trillion to its military, an amount that far exceeds the defense budgets of China, Russia, and every other nation on the planet. This immense investment reflects both the scale of American military ambitions and the perceived threats in an increasingly unstable world. This massive budget covers a wide range of priorities, from the development and deployment of advanced fighter jets and powerful naval ships, to the modernization of nuclear arsenals and the maintenance of a global network of troop deployments. It also funds research into next-generation technologies, cyber defense, and space operations. In addition to its own defense, the U.S. provided $48.4 billion in military aid to Ukraine in 2024, underscoring its ongoing commitment to supporting allies and partners in times of crisis. This aid includes advanced weaponry, logistical support, and humanitarian assistance. Maintaining such a vast global presence comes at a significant financial cost, but it enables the United States to respond rapidly to emerging threats and humanitarian emergencies anywhere in the world, reinforcing its role as a global superpower and security guarantor. While the U.S. leads in spending, China's military rise is drawing global attention. Officially, China's defense budget is $245 billion, but experts estimate the real figure could be much higher, up to $700 billion. This gap is due to off-budget spending and China's civil-military fusion, which blurs the line between civilian and military investments. For 30 years, China's military spending has climbed, fueling its ambition to modernize and project power. This sustained investment is challenging the traditional dominance of the U.S. and its allies. Raw spending figures don't tell the whole story. When we look at the numbers, it's easy to assume that the country with the biggest budget automatically has the strongest military. But the reality is far more complex and nuanced than that. There are hidden factors beneath the surface that can dramatically change how we interpret these figures. To truly gauge military strength, we must consider effective military budgets, factoring in purchasing power, labor costs, and efficiency. For example, a dollar spent in one country can go much further than a dollar spent in another, depending on local wages, the cost of materials, and how efficiently resources are managed. Economists and defense experts spend countless hours analyzing these variables to get a clearer picture of real military capability. By these measures, China's military budget could be as much as 2/3 that of the US, thanks to lower costs and centralized resource allocation. This means that even if China spends less in absolute terms, it can still achieve a level of military power that rivals much larger budgets. The way China organizes and directs its spending allows it to maximize the impact of every yuan. China can achieve more military power per dollar spent compared to the US. Lower labor costs, domestic production, and a focus on strategic priorities mean that China gets more value from its investments. This efficiency is visible in the rapid modernization of its armed forces and the growing sophistication of its military technology. This efficiency has major implications for the global balance of power. As China continues to close the gap, other nations are forced to rethink their own strategies and spending. The ripple effects are felt not just in Asia, but across the world as alliances shift and new partnerships form in response to China's rise. As China's capabilities grow, it's increasingly able to challenge US dominance, pushing the world toward a more multipolar order. The future of global security will depend not just on how much countries spend, but on how wisely and efficiently they use their resources to project power and influence. The year 2022 marked a turning point with Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This shattered the belief that large-scale wars in Europe were a thing of the past. Russia's actions upended the post-Cold War security order and reignited global tensions. The invasion triggered sweeping sanctions and forced nations to reassess their defense priorities. It also highlighted the dangers posed by authoritarian regimes with expansionist ambitions. The conflict reminded the world that peace and democracy must be actively defended. Russia's invasion sent a clear message. Military strength matters. In response, many nations, especially in Europe, have ramped up their military budgets to deter aggression. Germany announced a dramatic 28% increase in defense spending, with other NATO members following suit. The ripple effects extend beyond Europe. Japan, Australia, and South Korea are also boosting their military investments amid concerns over China. This global trend toward higher military spending shows no sign of slowing. National security and regional stability are now top priorities in an increasingly volatile world. The surge in military spending and rising tensions paint a concerning picture for global security. As nations invest heavily in their armed forces, the risk of escalation and conflict grows. The US-China rivalry, renewed European conflict, and advanced military technologies all add to the complexity. In this environment, dialogue and diplomacy are more critical than ever.